YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, back in Total War Rome 2, where I'm going to be bringing you some online action. This is going to be a 2v2. The people hosting the game were hosted up and playing as Lusitani and Arevaci, which is an interesting combination of Iberian factions. My teammate had picked Sparta, which is infantry strong and cavalry weak, so I picked Parthia to try and be a complement to that, where I will be cavalry strong and infantry weak. However, both factions, Parthia and Sparta, are both skirmish strong, and the Lusitani and the Arevaci are both weak to skirmishers as far as their infantry goes. However, they still have good skirmishers in the form of Balearic slingers to the tune of however many they want, and this is a huge funds battle, meaning 16,000 denarii rather than the typical 11,700. So yeah, a lot of funds here, definitely a possibility we could see a lot of Balearic slingers, so gonna be interesting to say the least. Cavalry advantage should go to us since I'm playing as Parthia, depending on the army I pick, and because I mean, well, I don't know though. I mean, so the Arevaci have access to some very good noble cavalry. Again, we'll see what people field. Remember, it's huge funds battle. I'm assuming that when they pick these factions, they want to bring a lot of heavy sword infantry. And if they do, it should play right into what Parthia is best at, which is charging and shooting. So let's take a look. You can see the Parthian army I brought again. This is ultra funds. So I have 2 royal cataphracts, 2 eastern cataphracts, 2 noble horse archers, 2 Median cav, 5 eastern slingers, and 6 Parthian swordsmen. So again, my infantry center for this funds level is very weak, but my cavalry is very strong. 4 solid cataphract units, 2 decent melee units, and 5 skirmishers. I will be quite heavy there. The Spartan player has a front line of Spartan hoplites. He's got 6 of them, and then he's got, let's see, 2 heroes of Sparta here, and then 3 royal Spartans there, and a royal Spartan general. So a total of 4 royal Spartans, 2 heroes of Sparta, 6 Spartan hoplites. The enemy swords could potentially beat this, but they're going to take a long time doing so. He's got 3 citizen cav. These guys are terrible, but what else can Sparta bring? 2 mercenary Cretan archers, 3 Rhodian slingers. So on top of my 5 eastern slingers, we are stacked when it comes to skirmishers, and the Spartan player actually has a considerable amount of extremely strong infantry in the form of the heroes of Sparta and royal Spartans. The standard Spartan units, not great, but you know, in a shield wall or a hoplite wall, they could last a while. Now, interestingly enough, well, let's say this. So, predictably enough, lots of Lusitani nobles. It looks like at this point there's 2 hidden in the woods, so we can go with 5 Lusitani nobles. And then I see at least 4 noble fighters. Alright, well, make it 6 with probably 2 more hidden, so 8 noble fighters. It looks like I said, probably 5 Lusitani nobles, 4 veteran shield warriors. I thought these were going to be Balearic slingers, but they are Iberian skirmishers. Another Lusitani noble back here. 2 Scutari cavalry. Lusitani just have poor cavalry choices in a high funds battle. There's not much they can do, but I see a Scutari spearman here, and there's another one hidden. And then 4 Cantabrian cav over here for the Arevaci. Very interesting choice, potentially useful against Parthia, but Parthia has access to horse archers, so also potentially risky. The Spartan player is going to go into wedge, which just makes his guys slower and even less likely to catch the Cantabrian cavalry. He's lucky this is not Attila, where the wedge also makes him weaker to missiles. But whatever, he's going to keep the Cantabrian cav busy, and I was like, you know what, that's fine, he can keep them busy. Neither the Arevaci or the Lusitani player is thrilled about walking into the missile firepower we have. So at first, I kind of thought both players might be approaching me, hoping to knock me out and then roll up on the Spartan. Definitely a possibility that they could try. So what you're going to see me doing is rearranging, and I'm starting to line up some cataphracts behind my main line. And that way, if the Lusitani dare to charge me, they're going to get pounded with a frontal charge by cataphracts, and then followed up by Parthian swords, and then picked apart by eastern slingers. So if they charge me head on, my line may look inviting, just weak Parthian swordsmen, but it is deceivingly strong with those cataphracts back behind it. So my opponent will not want to approach me from the front, but that is exactly what I want him to do. However, he's got these 4 Iberian skirmishers working with Scutari spearmen, not a bad plan. They're trying to take my flank, so he's going to push up and over this hill. So all I'm going to do, though, is just refuse my flank by forming a line in this direction. So I'll form here, and if he rotates further around me, I'll rotate at a full 90 degrees, basically just boxing off my corner. and eventually I'll just keep that corner boxed and then get my cavalry ready to strike here. I don't care if he surrounds me, I just have to keep my cataphract's attention focused on the Lusitani nobles in front. Let's take a look at what's happening to the noble fighters as they approach the heavy firepower of the Rhodians and Cretans over here. Definitely getting a pretty nasty peppering here. The Spartans should just go ahead and be in hoplite phalanx. Let's see if they make it there, since they're being charged. But maybe the Spartan player's waiting to see what exactly the noble fighters do. The noble fighters need to just charge. They are going to get hammered by skirmish fire. The Rhodians are just eating these guys alive. They're getting a little bit far. Ooh, the Cretan archers, look at that, getting far forward, but they're being pulled back by the Spartan. The cavalry over here is going to be caught by Scutari spearmen. That is really bad for the Spartan. But the Cantabrian cav are wasting all their ammo on these cheap citizen cav rather than on my expensive Parthian cav. So this is going to be kind of hard to see the whole battle at once. If I feel like I missed something, I might come back and catch it. But let's go ahead and just slow down for a second. So we're going to get into engagement out here. Looks like the noble fighters wanting to come in, but they are just getting absolutely wrecked by skirmishers. These two units are already down 20 or 30 men. We got Spartans going into hoplite phalanx. It's going to take those noble fighters a long time to cut through them, though they are achieving an envelopment on this side. Let's see. On my side, I've boxed up as I said I would. I'm unconcerned about these Cantabrian cav. Those guys are of little importance to me. They're not going to cause hardly any damage, and my own horse archers can potentially lay down fire. I'm just keeping these horse archers out here on the flank so that if my opponent wants to try and sneak around in, I can collapse in on him with my horse archers. These are noble horse archers, by the way, so very, very decent in melee as long as they're not against spear cavalry. Let's go ahead and hit. Oh, here comes the best part. Yeah, so the Lusitani nobles did decide to go head on with me, and I'm going to let you see the sweet slow motion glory of Eastern and Royal cataphracts charging headlong into their foes with trample charge. Now I am going to take a lot of javelin damage, but the enemy is just going to take horrendous casualties here to Royal cataphracts. You can see my guys immediately picking up 15 kills, and that number will grow. 20 kills immediately on that unit. And 11 over here. Yeah, so this is going to disrupt the charge of all those. Yeah, look at that. 27 kills, 28. I am going to have to reverse these guys and get them out. Look, 47 kills over here with that Royal cataphract. So lots of kills immediately with my cataphracts. You can see I'm going to immediately follow up with swordsman. I know it's in slow motion, but this is kind of necessary for the moment, and I will speed it up here in a minute. But you can see the Spartan just drawing up a line of defense. This will actually work to our favor. Because over here, my cataphracts have already started the demise of all these nobles. They're pursuing my cataphracts, and my Parthian swordsmen are now going to engage them. They won't last long, but they'll last long enough to get the job done. And again, over here, my Parthian swordsmen are going to do what they need to do. The enemy cavalry has been lured in over here. His Scutari think that they can get a piece of my noble horse archers. These guys are standing too close to the Cantabrian cav for comfort, but I'm going to fix him with my my noble horse archers. This is risky, but then I'm going to bring my Median cav in, destroy the Scutari cav all at once. And right here you can see in the center, though, that I've done the bait and switch. My cataphracts came in. Some of them did better than others. Like this unit did not do so well. This unit did just fine. My general did just fine for the most part. Did good here. Very good there. So, I mean, very, very good results overall for my cataphracts, damaging the Lusitani nobles substantially, and now setting them up for this, where my slingers, they're too bunched up. I'll fix it, but my slingers will basically just start firing in here and peppering Lusitani nobles. So let's go ahead and hit play. So the Spartan's fully engaged. The Cantabrian cav are trying to get back here and kill his skirmishers, and he is getting a hold of a fair amount of them, but Cantabrian cav's very light, and probably won't do so well in this extended fight here. The Cantabrian cav is just on fire at will, which means they're wasting a lot of javelins here. Wasting javelins that could have gone into the back of expensive infantry. Questionable indeed. So my cataphracts, now that the enemy Lusitani nobles are fixed again, my cataphracts are going to come in all across the line for more charges. I did use trample charge the first time. Maybe I shouldn't have, but I did. So yeah, here comes another massive cataphract charge because many of the Lusitani nobles are exposed in several different locations. See my guys here are going to come in, smashing into different lines of Lusitani nobles. Very heavy cavalry charges here. The Lusitani, having fairly low armor, are going to be getting wrecked. The Scutari cav got wrecked. It did a little bit of damage to my noble horse archers, not a lot, and now the Cantabrian cav is gone. My slingers are at will, or in good position basically to fire at will where needed. The Lusitani noble line took massive damage trying to get through my Parthian swordsmen, and some of them even just pulled through, knowing that my cavalry was destroying them. So yeah, my cavalry is just running amok. The Spartan over here is not doing great, but he's holding out. His Royal Spartans now engaged. These guys are going to be a very tough nut to crack. And so the Spartans are actually going to do quite well in this fight for the most part, as far as just holding off huge numbers of Iberian infantry. All the Iberian skirmishers got ahead of themselves. They were hoping to throw javelins at my cavalry, but my cavalry broke free. And you can see noble horse archers and other cavalrymen here just murdering Iberian javelin men all over the place, racking up hordes of kills. My slingers are firing at will, and as individual groups of Lusitani nobles give way, like these Royal Cataphracts racking up another rear charge, and here comes some Eastern Cataphracts in for a charge as well. I have an order on the Lusitani nobles, but I'm still going to wreck that veteran shield warrior pretty good. So yeah, you're going to see the kills start to skyrocket there, and I'm just cycling one cav unit in and out. You can see I'm pulling one cav unit out, moving in with another, so here comes another Royal Cataphract. These Lusitani nobles not braced on the move, they're going to get hammered again. So my Cataphracts are just having an absolute heyday here. There's nothing to stop them. And so they are quickly racking up insane numbers of kills. My slingers now are under no threat really from enemy cavalry, very small threat from enemy cav. The Spartan skirmishers have survived, many of them. Royal Spartans engaging all over the place, and they are putting up a pretty awesome fight considering what they've been up against. Still some noble fighters back here for the Arevaci being held in reserve. Even these noble fighters, the Spartan hoplites doing okay in combat for now. They are definitely losing, but like I said, they're doing okay for now. These Eastern Cataphracts, I'm going to crush these Scutari spearmen. A lot of enemy infantry over here. This is kind of a dangerous sector for me. I'm losing more cavalry here than I would have liked to, so I'm going to have to pull out. But these Cataphracts are going to destroy this spread thin spear line. I did take a few javelins, which is unfortunate, and he does use cavalry counter tactics at the last second, which is very good for him too. Still going to crush that line pretty significantly. I'm going to pull through it, try and get into the next Scutari spearman, but unfortunately taking a lot of losses on that Eastern Cataphract. So kind of threw them away, but still managed to get a lot of kills. While he's chasing, I swing in with all my other cav, another Royal Cataphract charge in here into the Lusitani nobles. The enemy general Lusitani noble gets killed right here. So the Lusitani troops starting to suffer a huge morale shock. The Spartan is getting overwhelmed slowly here, but like I said, his guys are doing quite well. Overall, they fought off a pretty big number of Arevaci, and he's not dead yet. In fact, some of these Lusitani over here, due to the loss of their general, are now suffering pretty badly in combat. The heroes of Sparta actually beating them back now, and I've got some Parthian swordsmen that need to come back. At this point, my slingers are just absolutely destroying Lusitani swordsmen. I mean, they're just getting picked apart. These guys are going home either dead or covered in lumps and bruises that they will be feeling for a long time because of all the rocks they're being pelted with. And so, I mean, you can see these units just being destroyed. All the remaining troops on this side are destroyed. My Cataphracts now are free to harass these Lusitani nobles who think they're going to come over here and help the Arevaci. But yeah, with Cataphracts trailing them now, all my Cataphracts are exhausted. But as far as rear charges go, they're still going to be extremely deadly. So yeah, let's watch this rear charge. These Royal Cataphracts are going to come in here and just decimate these. Well, no, I used Trample at the last second. That's right, and it screwed up my charge. I should have clicked Trample earlier because it messed up that charge. I'm going to have to cycle back around and try and charge these units. He does get a nice javelin volley out there, but only kills one of my Cataphracts, surprisingly. But as I cycle around, Trample was still engaged, and then I also got a rear charge with my noble, well, it would have been a Median Cav. So I end up crushing that veteran shield warrior, absolutely destroy it, come in with the noble horse archer to finish it off. So at this point it's just basically remnants of Arevaci and Spartans. This Royal Spartan's surrounded but still getting kills and still in green morale, impressively enough. And these Spartan hoplites, Royal Spartans, Heroes of Sparta, all these units are holding up pretty strong at the moment. And then over here I'm going to be able to help the Spartans get out of this fight alive. These Heroes of Sparta are still tanking it out. My slingers are destroying the Lusitani noble that's behind them. There's a lot more Arevaci troops that are just now pulling through, trying to get to my slingers because they're being peppered to death. So yeah, I'm just firing away. I'm probably killing some Spartans in the process. However, at this point it is definitely assuring victory for me to be doing this. The Heroes of Sparta are tanking up a substantial number of kills, 130 kills. You against very good infantry. The Spartan hoplites are chasing this noble fighter too, so it's going to be attacked in the rear and being peppered by slingers. And then over here, they pull a swordsman out to chase off my cav. That's fine, because then again, it just means this Heroes of Sparta is going to continue to own in combat. And then my Parthian swordsmen, I'll try and give them an order back in here in a moment. Spartan player is getting overwhelmed over here, being rear charged by noble fighters. That Heroes of Sparta and Spartan hoplites definitely going to be succumbing. The Spartan general is forced off the field. 112 kills, not great for Royal Spartan. If they were in the right position, they definitely could have defeated some of these noble fighters. Though it's still a tough battle. Look at this. This noble fighter thinks it's stronger than it is. It's going to get out here in the open thinking it can come chase my cavalry in these wide, thin lines. And right here you're going to see a noble fighter sandwich as they get pulverized by cataphracts and noble blood cav all at the same time, basically knocking every single noble fighter to the ground. And then I'm just going to start sandwiching in with more cav from every direction to just finish off these noble fighters. So that was like 90 noble fighters or so, maybe even 100. They just get absolutely pulverized by heavy cataphract charges. My general charging in, smashing this noble fighter unit, and then attempting to try and get into the back of the enemy noble fighter general. That one I actually kind of pulled through. I think I had an attack order on the unit behind it, so it did not go so well. So I followed up with a noble horse archer to keep this unit off the back of my general, and that's going to be successful. I'm going to come in here. My noble horse archer is going to kill quite a few of those guys. And then my general, up to 220 kills now. I'm going to be able to cycle out of this and get ready for more charges. The Spartans are actually surviving now some of these fights with the help of my troops. The morale of the Iberian opponents is starting to break, and the victory of the Sparta-Parthian alliance is becoming more clear. Yeah, check it out, the enemy noble fighter general here, again being very, very brave in the face of Parthian cavalry dominance here. These guys are going to get pummeled by charges from both sides, so they're getting hit by a trampled charge from the front by royal cataphracts, and my guys are going to pull axes for the combat afterwards. And then I've got my general coming in from behind, so another royal cataphract pummeling from every direction. So these guys are just going to be getting absolutely destroyed, and that is going to be the end of our Iberian opponents. So you can see that they are defeated massively at this point. Well, it says Pyrrhic victory, but I mean it is a pretty decisive victory. At least I think so. Let's see, if we look at kills, I was able to get 2,700 kills. Very nice number of kills so far. So let's just take a look at which units did the best. Royal Cataphract here with 256. Noble Horse Archer with 302. Many of those were Iberian skirmishers, to be fair. Royal Cataphracts, nice kills, 204. 233 in the Median Cav. The General getting 233, not bad. This was the only unit that was kind of questionable, probably still did alright in the end. This unit of Parthian swordsmen somehow racked up a lot of kills. My slingers were just tanking it out. They had plenty of ammo left whenever this thing was over. So overall, all my troops, pretty much for the most part, doing well. I mean, the Parthian swordsman did what I expected him to, which was to get in the way of superior sword infantry. You can see that some of his Lusitani nobles, like this one, did get a lot of kills. I say some of them, pretty much that one. The rest of his units not doing particularly well in that fight. Let's take a look at the Spartan player here, see which units of his did the best. 100 kills on the mercenary Rhonian slingers, 118 there, not bad. 125 on a Spartan hoplite here is not bad. None of his royal Spartans being particularly good, but all of them, well, that one did pretty well. Let's take a look at the Arevaci and see if he had any units. This unit right here racked up a decent number of kills, so did his general. Very nice number of kills on this Cantabrian Cav. That's very well done for a Cantabrian Cav. Some decent numbers on some of his units, but in the end just getting mopped up by my Parthian troops. So hope you all enjoyed this one. In my opinion, this was exactly the kind of match that the Iberian factions did not want. They both started out picking the Iberians. With my opponent playing as a spear faction, I thought it was only fair if I took a faction that is a nice counter, what I think is a nice counter pick to the Lusitani and the Arevaci. Now that said, there are a lot of units with the Lusitani and the Arevaci that have javelins, and they can be pretty deadly to cavalry units. However, in the large funds where it's easier for Parthia to bring more and more shot cavalry, I think it's going to get harder and harder for the Lusitani to stop those type of factions. You're definitely going to have to bring a lot of Balearic Slingers, and those Balearic Slingers are going to have to do very well, because your infantry are going to be very weak to missiles, and Eastern Slingers have a lot of ammo and very nice range. They're very good at killing lightly armored troops, which is exactly what the Arevaci and the Lusitani come equipped with. I think the Arevaci player made a pretty big mistake as far as army composition. If we go look at the custom battle screen here, so the Arevaci do have access to this noble cavalry, which is typically price forbidding. Now this unit here, the noble cavalry, is a very nice unit. 55 attack, 15 bonus versus large, and a 49 charge bonus. That is a pretty tanky cav unit. And if he would have used maybe some cheap spears to absorb the charge of, say, my cataphracts, he can afford a pretty decent number of these guys in the large settings, or in the ultra settings. So I mean, like, he could have easily brought 4 of them, or at least a couple of them. Still brought several Lusitani nobles. The problem is that if he does this, I mean, he is going to be in trouble, because the Lusitani have access to veteran shield warriors, which are pretty good mid-tier infantry, whereas the Scutari are pretty weak, but still, he could have made use of them. But I mean, again, that's the problem. These noble cavalry would help, but they're also very expensive, and it's going to limit what he can bring skirmisher-wise, because they do need skirmishers. Definitely need skirmishers. You'd probably have to throw in a couple of Celt-Iberian cav, and then you'd want at least a couple of cheap spear infantry to absorb volleys. But I mean, you'd have to do something like this. Even this would be tricky, but at least you'd have a nice strong infantry corps here with 4 noble fighters, enough firepower to beat back some skirmishers, some cheap spearmen to kind of keep enemy horse archers and other stuff away. So you'd need something like this, but you know, maybe slight variations of it. You know, you could figure it out. But the Lusitani, on the other hand, are in really bad shape versus Parthia in my mind, for the most part. Again, it depends on the funds level and how it's played. But I mean, their cheapest spears are pretty expensive. The Scutari spearmen are the ones with the best shields, but even their armor is fairly weak, though they do have cavalry counter tactics. You know, if I was going to fight a Parthian player one-on-one, I'd probably bring quite a few of these guys. And, you know, maybe a bunch of Iberian swords who have nice javelins that can help cut down cavalry. And then, I mean, like, so if I was going to fight Parthia in a one-on-one, I'd want something more like this, where I get lots of javelins, lots of spearmen, and then I'd want to tank up on a fair number of, let's maybe cut one of those. I mean, I'd be fight, because the Parthian infantry is not the threat. The threat from the Parthian is absolutely going to be the cavalry. So in this case, I mean, Parthian swordsmen wouldn't even do all that well trying to cut through these guys. And if you got 5 Balearic slingers, and then, I mean, you don't have much choice but to start throwing Scutari cav. And if you wanted to, you could cut the Iberian swords, but I mean, they really are good at throwing javelins and killing cavalry. But I mean, if you just wanted, or you know what you could do, you could throw in more Lusitani spearmen, which are better units in general. Do something like that. You know, maybe throw in another Scutari cav. Yeah, you could do an army more like that, where your main line is mostly these good spears, you got plenty of skirmishers, and your cavalry is just for mobility. So something like this would have been more well suited to defeating a Parthia. All these spearmen here with cavalry counter tactics and better attack and stats in general would have been more helpful. Plus, these guys would have done okay-ish versus Parthian swords even. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed this. HeirofCarthage signing off for now. I will see you back next time.